If you've been single longer than you planned, if you've already wondered why everyone around you is getting married while you remain alone, if you've questioned whether God forgot about you, or if there's something fundamentally wrong that drives people away, stop right now and pay attention, because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes will completely transform the way you see your singleness. It's not rejection, it's not a curse, and it's definitely not because you're not good enough. It's something much deeper and more purposeful than you imagine, and it has everything to do with the fact that you're chosen with a destiny that requires specific preparation. The truth no one told you is this: God kept you single all this time not to punish you, but to protect, refine, and prepare you for a type of relationship most people will never experience. While you thought you were being left behind, you were actually being strategically separated to break toxic generational cycles, develop solid character, and become the version of you that's ready for kingdom partnership instead of common connection based on neediness. Every door that closed, every person who left, every relationship that didn't work out, all of this was divine protection operating behind the scenes, sparing you from devastating mistakes that would divert you from your purpose. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the deep spiritual reasons behind your prolonged singleness, and you'll discover how to transform this time of solitude into powerful preparation instead of wasting it complaining. You'll understand the divine timing that's synchronizing your life with that of your future partner. You'll learn to discern kingdom relationships from false connections, and most importantly, you'll discover how to steward this season so productively that when the right relationship finally arrives, you'll be complete, healed, and ready to build something eternal. If you're a chosen one tired of waiting without understanding why, this message is for you. Take a deep breath, because what I'm about to tell you now could completely change how you see your singleness. It's not rejection. It's not because something's wrong with you, and it's definitely not because God forgot about you. It's divine timing operating with surgical precision, protecting you from connections that seemed right but would divert you from the giant purpose you carry. While you thought you were being left behind watching everyone get married, you were actually being preserved for something so specific that any wrong relationship at the wrong time would have completely destroyed the plan. Think with me. If God gave you the wrong partner just so you wouldn't be alone, would that be love or would that be cruelty? The chosen one can't afford to build with someone who wasn't divinely assigned, because the purpose you came to fulfill requires a kingdom partner who's on the same spiritual level, who understands the mission, who complements without competing. And this kind of rare connection doesn't appear on just any corner or at any moment. It emerges when you're ready and the other person is too, in an encounter orchestrated so perfectly that you'll look back and be grateful for every no you received. The divine protection that kept you single all this time wasn't punishment. It was strategic investment. God was sparing you from painful divorces, devastating betrayals, toxic partnerships disguised as romance, alliances that would suck your energy and dilute your light until you didn't recognize yourself anymore. Every person who left your life, every relationship that didn't work out, every door that slammed in your face, all of this was God saying, "Trust me, I have something infinitely better waiting for you at the right time." Here's a revolutionary truth the church rarely teaches. Being single is a calling to be honored, not a defect to be urgently fixed. Society pressures you as if you were incomplete without a relationship, as if your life only truly begins when you find the right person. But the chosen one needs to understand that this season of singleness isn't a waiting room. It's an active training ground where God is developing in you qualities you would never cultivate if you were dividing your attention and energy with someone at this specific moment in your journey. Paul spoke clearly about this. The unmarried person is concerned about the things of the Lord, while the married person naturally divides their attention. It's not judgment, it's practical reality. At this exact moment in your life, God needs you focused 100% on spiritual refinement, on healing deep wounds, on developing the purpose that will define the rest of your existence. If you were in a relationship now, these critical areas would be neglected because you'd be investing time and emotional energy trying to make it work with someone who perhaps shouldn't even be in your life. Recognizing singleness as a divine calling changes everything. You stop feeling rejected and start feeling chosen for special preparation. You stop wasting energy trying to force connections God didn't authorize and start investing that same energy in the growth that will prepare you for the kingdom partner who's already being molded parallel to your journey. This shift in perspective transforms loneliness into sacred solitude. And when you embrace this calling instead of resisting it, you discover a freedom and peace that those desperate for relationships never experience. Have you ever stopped to think about how much energy a wrong relationship drains? It's not just the time you lose, it's the light you carry being sucked away by someone who wasn't designated to walk by your side. The chosen one emanates a specific spiritual energy, an elevated frequency that attracts both genuine people and emotional vampires disguised as soulmates. God kept you single because He knows you're still developing discernment to differentiate who came to add from who came to suck. And until you have this wisdom well sharpened, He blocks connections that would leave you empty. Divine protection functions like an invisible filter that repels incompatible energies before you even perceive the danger. That person who seemed perfect but disappeared out of nowhere? Protection. That relationship you wanted so badly but never took off? Protection. That intense attraction that wasn't reciprocated? Protection multiplied by 1,000. God sees what you don't see, the red flags hidden, the true intentions behind beautiful words, the future of pain and disappointment that connection would bring. And because He loves you too much to see you destroyed, He simply closes doors you were desperately knocking on. Preserving your energy in this preparation phase isn't selfishness, it's spiritual wisdom. Every drop of attention, every piece of heart, every moment of vulnerability you didn't waste on wrong people is being stored, accumulated, refined for when the right partner appears in perfect divine timing. You'll arrive whole in that connection, not broken and mistrustful because of previous toxic relationships. You'll bring full light, not remnants of energy that were drained by those who never deserved access to your inner world in the first place. The loneliness you're living isn't empty. It's the sacred atelier where God is sculpting in you the character you'll need to sustain the relationship He's preparing. Think of a rough diamond that needs to be cut. Each facet carved hurts. Each imperfection removed causes discomfort. But the final result only happens because the refinement was done away from distractions and interferences. If you were in a relationship now, you'd be so busy trying to please the other person that you'd neglect the areas of your own soul that desperately need deep transformation. This refinement process exposes things inside you that need to be healed before you unite with someone. Unresolved traumas that would explode in the wrong partner's face. Inherited toxic patterns that would contaminate the relationship. Insecurities that would turn into destructive jealousy. Rejection wounds that would sabotage something good. God isolated you not to punish you, but to give you time and space to work on these areas without the pressure of keeping a relationship functioning. It's like intensive therapy. You need to focus totally on the healing process, and that simply doesn't work when you're emotionally divided. Each day you spend in purposefully leveraged singleness is a brick being placed in the foundation of your future relationship. You're developing patience, cultivating contentment independent of relationship status, learning to be complete in God before seeking completeness in another human being. This character development is what separates relationships that last decades from romances that explode in months. And the chosen one wasn't designated to build sandcastles, but eternal alliances that resist any storm because they were built on solid foundation constructed exactly in this season of solitary preparation you're living now. Look at your family's relationship history and you'll understand one of the deepest reasons for your prolonged singleness. You were chosen to break generational cycles of dysfunction that have been repeated for decades, maybe centuries. Serial divorces, normalized betrayals, marriages maintained by obligation but dead inside. Women or men who always choose abusive partners. These toxic patterns don't stop by themselves. Someone needs to have the courage to say, I won't repeat this in my generation. And that someone is you. But to break the cycle, you first needed to be alone long enough to identify the patterns and heal from them. God separated you because he knew that if you followed the automatic flow of your family lineage, you'd reproduce the same mistakes that destroyed your parents, grandparents, uncles' relationships. You'd choose based on physical attraction, ignoring spiritual incompatibility. You'd accept crumbs of affection because that's what you saw being normalized. You'd confuse love with emotional dependency or constant drama. But divine timing included isolating you precisely so you'd have mental space to analyze these patterns from the outside, without the pressure of unconsciously repeating them just because that's how it's always been in the family. Breaking generational cycles isn't an easy or quick task. It requires years of deconstructing limiting beliefs about relationships, healing wounds you didn't even cause but inherited, developing healthy patterns that no one in your family taught you because no one knew. That's why your singleness extended so much. You're not just preparing for a relationship, you're completely rewriting the script of how relationships work in your lineage. When you finally unite with your kingdom partner, you'll establish a new pattern that your children and grandchildren will inherit. And this giant generational change only happens because you had the courage to stay alone until you were completely healed and transformed. There are divine tasks so specific and intense that they simply cannot be completed while you're emotionally divided with another person. Think of Moses spending 40 years in the desert before liberating an entire people, Paul writing most of the New Testament during periods of solitary imprisonment, John receiving the book of Revelation isolated on an island. The pattern is clear. God uses solitude as a controlled environment where he can prepare you for missions that require absolute focus. And if you were in a relationship now, this preparation would be compromised or delayed by years. The purpose God planted in you in this specific season of life demands all your attention, all your creative energy, all your free time. It might be writing the book that will transform thousands of lives, building the business that will employ and bless entire communities, developing the ministry that will reach lost souls, or simply going through a healing process so deep that you'll become living testimony for others who are suffering. These missions don't happen in the leftover time you'd have if you were managing a relationship. They require the totality of your being, and God gave you singleness as a gift so you can dive in completely without guilt or division. Many people waste this season of solitude complaining about the lack of relationship, not realizing they're sitting on a gold mine of unexplored potential. The chosen one understands this phase won't last forever. Eventually, the right partner will arrive, and naturally your attention will divide between purpose and relationship. But now, in this sacred moment of singleness, you have a unique window to accomplish things that would be impossible or extremely difficult later. Take advantage of this time. Dive headfirst into the mission God placed in front of you. Because when you look back, you'll be grateful for having used solitude as a springboard for accomplishments that define the rest of your journey. While you're being refined in your solitary journey, God is simultaneously working in the life of the person who is designated to walk by your side. It's not that your future kingdom partner is ready waiting while you're running late. You're both being molded in parallel, going through specific processes of healing, growth, and preparation that will allow that when you finally meet, the connection is deep and lasting. Divine timing synchronizes two different stories until they reach the perfect convergence point where both are mature enough to build something eternal. Imagine if you met your future spouse 5 years ago. You were both completely different people, carrying unresolved baggage, operating on incompatible frequencies, seeking superficial things in relationships. It would have been guaranteed disaster, not because you're wrong people for each other, but because it was the wrong time for both. God, in infinite wisdom, coordinates the individual preparation processes until you're both on the same spiritual, emotional, and psychological level. Only then does He authorize the meeting, knowing that now you have solid foundation to build something that glorifies the kingdom instead of just satisfying temporary neediness. This divine synchronization explains why forcing relationships never works for the chosen. You can try to rush the process, can commit to someone who's available but not the designated one. But you'll end up frustrated because you were trying to fit pieces from different puzzles. God's timing is never late. It just operates in a dimension that our anxiety can't comprehend. Trust the process. While you're becoming the best version of yourself, your future partner is doing the same. And when you reach each other, you'll instantly recognize the divine work that prepared this connection with millimetric precision. Now that you understand the purpose of singleness, the crucial question is, how to use this time wisely instead of wasting it complaining or waiting passively. First, invest heavily in your spiritual growth. This is the time to develop deep intimacy with God that will sustain you and your future relationship through any storm. Wake up half an hour earlier for prayer. Read the Bible not as religious obligation, but as life manual. Fast, strategically asking for clarity about purpose. This solid spiritual foundation is what separates kingdom marriages from common partnerships that crumble at the first crisis. Second, use this time for deep healing and personal development. Do therapy if necessary. Read books that challenge your thought patterns. I recommend Attached by Amir Levine to understand your relationship patterns, Boundaries by Henry Cloud to learn to establish healthy limits. Work on your finances now that you don't have to consult anyone about every decision. Get out of debt, build emergency reserve, learn to invest. Develop hobbies that complete you. Cultivate true friendships. Travel alone and discover who you are when no one is influencing your choices. This complete and healed version of you is who will enter the relationship, not a desperate half seeking to be completed. Third, and most important, dive headfirst into the purpose God placed in your heart. This is the time to build the business, write the book, launch the ministry, develop the skills that will define your legacy. When your partner arrives, they'll find someone already in motion, already producing fruit, already impacting lives. And that's infinitely more attractive than someone stuck complaining about singleness. Stewarding this season well means arriving at the relationship as overflow of blessings, not as empty well waiting to be filled. And this difference determines whether you'll build powerful partnership or emotional dependency disguised as love. Every door that closed in your romantic life has the first and last name of divine protection in action. That person you wanted so badly but completely ignored you, God saw 3 years ahead and blocked because it would end in devastating betrayal that would break you inside. That relationship that seemed perfect in the first months but imploded out of nowhere. Divine protection removing someone who had well-made masks but rotten intentions hidden underneath. That intense chemical attraction that never became anything concrete. God separating you from connection based only on hormones that would trap you in toxic cycle for years. The chosen one needs to understand that God doesn't block connections to make you suffer. He blocks because He sees the end of the movie while you're still fascinated by the trailer. That person who seemed like your soulmate had character problems that would only reveal themselves after you were too emotionally invested to leave easily. That relationship everyone thought was perfect had fundamental spiritual incompatibility that would become unbridgeable chasm when you tried to build something lasting. God spared you from years of suffering, expensive divorces, deep traumas, but because He did this by blocking before it started, you only see the pain of rejection, not the blessing of protection. Learn to be grateful for the doors that closed with the same intensity you'll be grateful for the right door that will open. Every no you received was God saying, "I have something better reserved for you." But you need to stop forcing the wrong one to have your hands free when the right one appears. The false connections that were blocked left clean space in your heart and in your life for when the kingdom partner arrives in perfect divine timing. And when that happens, you'll look back and understand that each painful rejection was actually merciful redirection guiding you to the right destiny. The most important lesson this season of singleness teaches you is to differentiate attraction from divine alignment. And this distinction will save you from a world of suffering when you finally start dating. Attraction is chemistry, butterflies in stomach, conversations that flow easily, physical appearance that pleases you. Divine alignment is all of this plus deep spiritual compatibility, shared values that will sustain the relationship when initial passion cools, vision of future that walks in the same direction, proven character that reveals itself consistent under pressure. You can have attraction with 1,000 people, but divine alignment happens once in a lifetime with whoever was designated to walk by your side. Kingdom relationships are recognized by specific markers: inexplicable peace instead of constant drama, mutual growth instead of destructive competition, freedom to be authentic instead of constant performance to please. The right partner will point you to God, not away from Him, will celebrate your purpose, not compete with it, will complete your weaknesses without exploiting your vulnerabilities. You'll feel you can build empire together with this person, not because they're perfect, but because you're both imperfect in the right ways that complement instead of multiplying dysfunctions. The discernment you develop during years of purposeful singleness equips you to make this distinction quickly. You won't confuse emotional intensity with genuine connection anymore. Won't accept crumbs of affection just to not be alone. Won't ignore red flags because the person is physically attractive. When the kingdom relationship appears, you'll recognize it not because it comes accompanied by fireworks and grandiose promises, but because it brings deep peace, natural alignment, and divine confirmation that resonates both in your spirit and in the practical circumstances of life. And all this solitary preparation that seemed like eternity will finally make sense when you realize it was exactly what equipped you to recognize and value the right connection when it finally arrived in God's perfect timing. So now answer me with total honesty. After everything you discovered here, will you still waste this season of singleness complaining and feeling rejected? Or will you finally embrace the divine purpose behind this preparation? Will you keep forcing connections that God blocked for protection? Or will you trust that divine timing is synchronizing your life with that of the kingdom partner who's already being molded parallel to your journey? The choice is yours, but now you have enough information to transform loneliness into productive solitude that will define the rest of your life. Look back and recognize. Every relationship that didn't work out freed you from greater suffering. Every door that closed opened space for something better. Every day of singleness was opportunity for refinement you'd never have if you were emotionally divided. You're breaking entire generational cycles, developing character that will sustain eternal relationship, completing missions that require absolute focus. And all of this is only possible because God loved you too much to give you the wrong partner at the wrong time just to calm your anxiety. Use this time wisely. Invest in spiritual growth, heal the deep wounds, dive into purpose, build the life your future spouse will find already in motion. And when the right relationship finally arrives at perfect timing, you'll be grateful for every second of waiting because you'll recognize someone who was prepared with the same care God used to prepare you. If this message resonated deeply with you, if it finally makes sense why your romantic journey has been so different from most, then don't keep this to yourself. Subscribe to the channel because we're going to continue exploring the chosen one's journey with content that will equip you to live your purpose with excellence. Leave in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where the chosen ones are who are using singleness as preparation, not as prison. And turn on notification bells because every video we post brings revelation that can completely change your perspective. Remember, you're not late. You're exactly in perfect divine timing. See you in the next video.